and by this way or ex officio, it cannot happen. How it can be happening? Well, there are people, experts all over the world who are ready to consult. Unless and until they give us the opportunity, this problem is not going to be pushed under the carpet. And we need to bring it forward.
All over the place, there's no separation of powers between military force. Where are we going to get the fresh water from? Is it from the people outside of the country? Fresh water, where are the fresh ideas coming from? Where do we expect them to come from? Or are we just hoping that they all die?
Any more observation? Just a few more.
I've actually got a question.
Write down the questions and probably have rules.
Most are involved with BNP, some are involved with the Awami League, but I don't see any difference between them. I don't see any difference between them.
Please start answering. We've got 3 questions so far. 1 question from Abdul.
Actually, I'm really glad. I've always believed that democracy has never worked in third world countries, and it's not working in Bangladesh either. Simply because people, I believe that the situation in Bangladesh, politicals understand it, and actually Ajmal Masroor pretty much said the exact same thing there on stage, that we need to explain it to people what this democracy is. So why are we here? Why are we? Of course there is an alternative. Whatever it is, it needs to be based in people's own roots and identities. And this is almost like a completely alien idea. The idea of a politician being a public servant is something I think completely alien to the Bangladeshi public.
The exception of
moral, the philosophy of that politics. I think mainly we are now very much interested into going into power and governing the country and getting some benefits and other things from power. But partly, you can blame the politicians. I totally agree with you. They are firstly responsible for all the political instability and all this violence and other things, political violence that take place. But I also blame the people, because people are not raising their voice as they should, because we are divided into either a group of people support Awami League or a group of people support BNP or Jamaat or any other political party. But as a whole, nation as a whole, they should become united in some point that, look, enough is enough. It is our country. It is our duty to sort out the dirty water, whatever you call it, to get a fresh water.
Are you suggesting the ideas or the fresh water comes from within? Is that?
Yeah, obviously, because first of all, the politics has been sort of polarized with power, greed, and corruptions and everything, and all the institution in the country has been politicized.
But the system then prevents fresh water. That's one thing.
System can be introduced. System can be introduced, but who is going to implement those systems? The implementer has to be also patriot. Implementer has to be also responsible. But we are not accountable to the people also, because we become divided. If my party does something wrong, then obviously opposition party raise their voice. Then we, the supporter, support our party, whether they are in wrong, they're doing wrong or right, doesn't matter. So in conclusion, what I want to say is the people have to be more conscious, and they should raise their voice now. If the people become, they uprise their voice against any wrongdoings, then the politicians will be corrected.
But they're being shut down if we go back to the human rights.
Well, if I can add to that, I must emphasize that the other factor is, if you will see, over the last 4 decades, people who are mostly, I'm not meaning anyone personally, but most of the people who are highly intelligent, people who are brilliant, are not very much encouraged to come into politics. That's the general scenario.
That's another mistake.
So, why are they not coming? We have to say that.
Yeah.
Violence, bullying, nepotism, all of these are working. So, to allow fresh water to come, as you said, we need to encourage the people and make sure they are duly honored. That's one thing. The other thing is, solution cannot be reached by 180 million people. It's absurd. What unity do? They are already united in all definitions. They are one language, one religion, subsect, a school of the same thought. So that's absurd. We are already united. We want what? We are tolerant? We are, of course, we are immensely tolerant people. But During the 1990s, I was in the process of overthrowing HM Ershad. So I have seen the Dhaka University led the revolution against Ershad. Why? Dhaka University was considered the parliament, national parliament then, because they were the best students of the country. So at the same time, fresh water will be coming from political thinkers, not necessarily politicians. So political thinkers will have to come forward, which is not being possible because of the hierarchy. Now, I must address the other gentleman who was talking about the law enforcing agencies like BGB and everybody. Why are they working for the government? Why shouldn't they? They are paid. And if they run around like headless chicken, a country cannot be run. They are bound to listen to the government. But what has happened? The present regime has used their absolute power to do absolute corruption. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If you look around, I don't want to name anybody, be it in BNP or Awami League, less in Jamaat, but in these two parties, there is no democracy within the party. That's one is the greatest problem of our politics in Bangladesh. And about the fresh water, let me tell you, people are very much united. 60% of our people, unofficially, their living standard is below the poverty line. And these people are simply not interested about politics. I have served in army for 32 years. I have been in far-flung areas of Bangladesh, including Chittagong hill tracts. People are fed up. But these people, they do not have their voice because they are busy in earning their livelihoods for the education of their children and their health care.
For their survival.
The survival. The problem is the political parties. There is no democracy. There is no system of selecting leaders at different hierarchy. They are always looking to their own family members, dynastic politics. That's the problem.
Oh, and then, of course, yeah, okay.
Assalamualaikum. I just wanted to put an idea out there. The answer is Hussein Ershad. The answer is Husseiniya Ershad. Husseiniya Ershad was this establishment in Tehran. In the 70s, it provided a space. It was set up and supported by very progressive, faithful people. Ali Shariati delivered a lot of lectures there. Look at Ali Shariati. He's a bit more of a cerebral version of Maulana Bhashani without the mass politics. But those of us, you're right, those of us who can eat and read, it's more responsible for us not to be eaten up by the developmentals, but to do stuff. So I like your water analogy. We can use fountain, the fountain, right? We can use rain clouds, but let's go with the fountain one, right? Because that's indigenous and that's good.
Making ourselves, but yeah.
Well, if you look at religious literacy and the conceptual universe that we have access to here that hasn't been cut off from us, a lot of stuff, it's deleted from Bangladesh's script. I'm not saying it's the answer, but there's resources there. And I think we need to look at the example of the Iranians, the pre-example. I know things went awful, and the kinds of collaboration you can have. Because in our history, coming out of the famine, of the Great Bengal famine, we voted in our droves in 1946, not for a Pakistan of military autocracy, but for a land of social justice where we could eat. So our idea and aspiration has kind of been mutated, but we need to find some continuities with our historical prehistory, pre-partition. There's stuff there which we need to have the meaning of, and I think the Shapla Chotor incident provides a lens for us to look at all of these things. Dr. Ahmedullah's Brick Lane Circle provides a lot of material. Please go through that. The Bengal Muslim Research Institute provides a lot of historical stuff. So there are resources there. We need to make this, popularize it. Our cousins, this locus of control. That's what we can do.
Thank you for
Thank you.
Theoretically, yes, there is version of power in Bangladesh constitution, but practically not. Prime Minister is so powerful in Bangladesh. I think I compared quite a few constitutions of the other countries in the world. Hardly any other Prime Minister is given so much power that the Bangladeshi Prime Minister enjoys. Without proper check and balance, democracy can produce a monster. We know Hitler. Hitler came to power through a democratic process. Then what he became, we know very well. Parliament and judiciary are the main organs to ensure accountability. But judiciary in Bangladesh is hugely politicized. Judges in the superior courts are appointed not based on merit or experience or competence, but based on political belonging.
Administration also politicized.
Judges from the High Court to Appellate Division were elevated, superseding 42 judges. And then he was made a member of a panel hearing appeals in relation to war crimes issues. And secondly, Parliament cannot make executive accountable because Article 70 of the Constitution of Bangladesh bars MPs to criticize the government, to take different lines. They cannot go beyond their leaders' wishes, otherwise they will lose their ambition.
Thank you very much. I think
So that we don't know where the country is heading to.
we're really running out of time. We have only half an hour to answer 3 questions that we have designed, and we will have further discussion. Just to summarize on question 1.
Quite clearly on there, what are the causes of the current election? Is there a role for civil society in all of this? Because if politics in Bangladesh is dominated by nepotism and a hereditary system, then can ordinary people do anything? And if they can't do that in Bangladesh, can we do anything from here? And is there a way of sort of pressuring the government to create perhaps a more objective means of participating or contributing to the mix?
Of course, because we are talking about.
Before we come to the panel, I think we shall get some few of the answers.
Politics, people who haven't really thought about state or politics or anything like that. So student politics, in other words. And it's said one of the body, which I think is a great thing. We need to acknowledge it for that. And I believe past presidents have called for that as well, and I believe the Jamaat has called for that.
Do you think the
It
cause of current electoral
it is linked because all the violence, if you look at it, is being caused by young people generally. All the people that are being killed are young people, university students. So it's very much blacked. Given the fact that, to speak, because they didn't have fractious politics and killing one another.
I request panelists to bear that point in mind, student politics. But before we come back to the panelists, is there any other?
If you look at, well, it's only 46, and you had like overwhelming support for Muslim League. And 70, you had overwhelming support for Awami League.
52, 50.
And 54, another one, right?
54.
But before 70 election, from 68, you had this massive uprising. Right. So what happened in our country is people tried to create uprising before the election, right? To get momentum, create momentum, and this is how things have happened for a very long time. The other thing I want to say is Bangladesh. Dr. Kalim Siddiqui talks about 46 election, and he said in his own village, somewhere in Uttar Pradesh in India, they never had a Muslim League. And suddenly a group of people come, put a flag in the village and say, Narayana Takbir, Allahu Akbar. Within 24 hours, everybody become Muslim League. So sometimes we join or we change side, without really thinking, right? And the political parties, what they try to do, they try to create momentum, a crisis, and then get everybody on their side. Now, Bangladesh was created and Pakistan was created not because really people knew what kind of country they wanted.
Can come in and quickly manipulate.
No, not only flexible, because we have Bangladesh now, and Bangladesh is not what people wanted. Even Pakistan is not what people wanted. We found in Pakistan that people just supported because there was a movement they went through. And then when they had Pakistan, people didn't want Pakistan. Same with Bangladesh, right? And Awami League thought they got the mandate and they wanted to rule Bangladesh according to their own philosophy. But people didn't fight for Bangladesh for Awami League philosophy. It was a crisis. So basically what I'm trying to say is that in the election, the way election happened and the prior crisis, and the massive change that we tried to create, thinking that we got the mandate, when people didn't really give us mandate, right? So we find a country which nobody really wanted, I'm saying in a different sense. It just happened, through accident. It's like Pakistan. Going back to 1905, partition. Sometimes we pushed in through violence as well. There's preceding a lot of violence happened. So we use really force, not really consider thinking. Just one thing. Another problem is that we don't have bigger people who can look at what happened and then guide us.
You're saying we don't have intellectual to reflect on
It's
what
not
went wrong.
intellectual, you need bigger people, like in a way, strong morality, people who can take us.
I think that's your point.
Yeah, I could just summarize. I think what you're suggesting, and
That's right. You see, this election, there's a strong drive of Bengali nationalism. Nobody understands what is the drive behind Bengali nationalism.
well, exactly. I think that's what I think.
In India.
Yeah,
Right.
The police in India, they're really neck and neck to the Congress or BJP or so.
Right. Sorry, I'm not informed about that. I'm not informed.
It's the latest.
Yes, I know. I have come to that, but I didn't have the time to delve
If
into
anyone knows, it's
Yes.
Still have the question. If
I
anyone
can,
from the audience or
Okay,
from panel
Shall we,
like
Fuad
Mr.
wants to
Mohammed.
say something.
Yeah.
It's an offshoot of Anna Hazare, this anti-corruption thing.
Mr. Kejriwal is a retired accountant.
Yeah, so
A lot of people went to India from America, Britain, Europe and so on.
Right.
Can
I took part
I
in
say it
election.
might be a bit of a red herring, like the student thing. You know the anti-corruption thing? There's only so far you can go on anti-corruption. They use it. We had, the last military caretaker government, they use this anti-corruption thing. I wish them all the luck, and it's nice to see that the brothers in India are trying to do something, and they'll learn a lot from it.
Should I address the gentleman's question and the gentleman here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So two of those I can.
So, one more. Before we answer the student
Yes.
politics,
And the
can you
gentleman.
answer the question? What are the causes for the current electoral?
Very
crisis?
simple. Mistrust, number one. No valid reasons for mistrust. And lastly but not leastly, there is no solution.
Mr. Rahman?
Apparently.
Well, the crisis started only because one party has become very much greedy to remain in power. And because of
your party as well?
sorry?
Is your party
No,
responsible for
Aumali,
that as well?
present government
For the
party.
previous term?
Sorry?
For the previous term?
For the previous term, the election was given on
So
due
you're saying
time.
it's the
Election was
mistrust, it's the
mistrust.
political
Obviously, I agree with Mufassil Bhai, and at the same time, the present government led by Sheikh Hasina has taken, full agenda in their hand to come back to power under any means. So they are using all the illegitimate means to come back to power. So that is the reason why the crisis has started in Bangladesh. One party is demanding, with the majority people's support, that we need, because of the mistrust, and the system has been polluted by politicizations and
You're
everything.
blaming the political parties.
Yeah.
Political parties are responsible for creating this mess, yeah?
Of course, the political party, in the sense I am trying to say, although I am in opposition, but the present Awami League party is totally responsible for
So the
this.
current one is Awami League.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brigadier, once again, Abdullah, we'll just probably take the panel's comments on that question.